What's up, y'all? Welcome back. I think it's about time we do another Dynasty Startup Mock Draft. Let's get this thing rolling. I did go ahead and randomize the draft order, so I'll be taking out of the 11 slot this time. It's just one QB, half PPR, 25-man rosters. So it is going pretty running back heavy to start, which isn't great for me because usually I like to just go running back all over the place. But we'll see what we can do here. Wow, Jamar Chase is there at 11. Yeah, I mean, normally I go running back, but if Jamar Chase is going to be sitting there and I could just go running back, picks like 2 through 3 at least. Hey. Okay, we got. I know in my last mock I took Brees like early. I probably should go Jamar Chase. Knowing I went so running back heavy in the last draft, it might be good to see a little bit different build. So we'll go ahead and go Jamar Chase and see how it works out. But interesting to see Cooper Kupp go at the 106 here, being Dynasty. Okay, so Swift goes. Other receivers I would target somewhat early would be A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, but usually they go a lot higher than I would ever take them because usually these running backs seem to be the picks that I end up making. Yeah, I really. Yeah, I think Brees is definitely the pick that should be made here. I'm going to go ahead and take Brees, but just for the sake of telling you guys, all the other running backs in that tier for me would be Saquon, I guess Javonte. I'm not the biggest on Javonte, especially with Melvin re-signing, because even if Melvin gets like only 40% of that workload, it's going to hurt Javonte's production. He should still be a back end RB1, maybe RB2, but I don't know. Fournette later, just due to age. A lot of these older backs I would take like rounds 5 on, but it would have to be a lot later. Gibson, I'm still high on. Akers, I'm still high on. Dobbins, of course. Brees, ETN, I'm really high on. Hopefully he can ball out coming off that injury. Mitchell, somewhat. That's more of a tier break after like ETN, Dobbins, Akers, those guys. But we're gonna go ahead and snag Brees here. He's got crazy upside, crazy volume upside, crazy talent upside. Hopefully Zach Wilson pulls it together so that offense as a whole can score more points. Because if that offense ends up scoring like 30 points a game, there's a good chance Brees could be averaging 20 fantasy points a game. hopefully a couple of these top tier running backs make it back to me at the 3 and 4 turn. I'm sure they will, especially because people keep taking these veterans over these young ascending assets for some unknown reason. Yeah, and one QB, if you can start out Jamar Chase and Breece Hall, yeah, you're winning. See some of these QBs keep going early. Travis Kelce still going one time. It's almost like people are drafting a redraft. There goes Saquon. Come on, at least leave one of Akers or Dobbins there for me. To rank those guys, I'd probably go Dobbins, then Akers, then Gibson. And Saquon and Dobbins are like tied for number 1 for me. So you can probably see I'm rocking the Ohio State "the" shirt. So definitely is a lot of my bias liking Dobbins as much as I do. Okay, so Akers off the board. See what else we're looking at just for the sake of it. But if this were real draft, I would definitely be going Dobbins. So for the sake of this mock, I will also be going Dobbins. I'm not going to really waver too much off what I would normally do. But just wanted to kind of see what would happen taking Jamar Chase, because I do like Jamar Chase like quite a bit. I just traded in one of my Dynasty leagues. I had to trade. It was 3 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders to get him, and I thought that I was still winning that deal. I had a lot of capital like kind of to spend, though. I didn't really need the picks that I gave away for Jamar. It was more a luxury move. But wide receivers, maybe I would go DK in the turn, because I still view DK as like a top 5 Dynasty receiver, just due to talent level mostly. Still take him over Waddle. It's close, but take him over Waddle, take him over Higgins. McLaurin's a little bit older now. He's not old by any means. Same with Deontay, but they've been in the league for a minute. DK, I just trust his upside more than these guys. Waddle's upside is probably on par, though. I would say that. I like Pittman a lot. And it's still way too early to be even considering quarterback or tight end in my eye. Usually I don't draft my starting quarterback until like round 15 or something like that. But we'll see how it plays out. Okay, let's lock in Dobbins here. So Chase, Hall, Dobbins, pretty good start. Very happy with that. Okay. So players I'm considering: Antonio Gibson, Travis Etienne. Probably would take Etienne over him. I like AJ Dillon a lot too, but it's just sketchy taking him with obviously Aaron Jones still being in town. Yeah, a lot of these guys, there's a lot of receivers here I would feel confident day 1 going into as my wide receiver 2. Could even go like Drake London, Garrett Wilson as my 2 a little bit later. So even though DK is probably the best bet here, I'm still just going to take running back, because I know the position's a lot more scarce of an asset. Go ETN here. who, for the record, was my RB1 in his class ahead of Najee. Age has something to do with it, but I just thought he was overall the better prospect. Of course, his injury and the Jags being the Jags didn't really help that age very well, but just straight prospect profile, yeah, I was higher on ETN than I was on Najee at the time. Not that I didn't think Najee wasn't good. Of course, Najee's amazing, but ETN I really viewed as that top tier type of prospect, similar to a Breece Hall. Okay, there goes Lamar. It's decent range for him to go. If I am taking a quarterback high, it's usually between rounds 4 and 6 where I would go either Lamar or Kyler. Anybody else, like I don't want Joe Burrow. I don't really want Jalen Hurts. At the quarterback position, I tend to lean rushing upside as well as job security. So sure, Joe Burrow has job security, but not rushing upside. Jalen Hurts has rushing upside, but no job security. 2 years from now, nobody would be shocked if Philly's starting CJ Stroud instead of Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is, I don't know, backing up Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville or something. Who knows? It's very difficult to project how the quarterback market's going to play out, but there's a handful of guys that you can, with confidence, say are going to be a starter in 3 years' time. Like Trey Lance, same deal. We haven't seen enough of him to know that he's the Niners' long-term answer. Did they take him high? Yeah, but the Jets also took Sam Darnold high, and the Browns also took Brandon Whedon high. And where are they? Not going to be starting QBs. All right, back on the board here. Kyler is gone. It would have been fun to get him, but that's okay. We will take a look at the running back room. Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker scares me just a little bit, knowing that Chris Carson may or may not come back and Rashad Penny may or may not be good. Still up in there because his small sample size last year indicated that he was really good, but for them to draft Ken Walker and for Penny to have been so bad for years before that, it's just questionable at best on Penny. So we might have to come back to running back here. Nobody that I'm killing to get on my team. Walker probably would be the best one available at this stage. Eli Mitchell, same deal. It's a little bit risky taking Mitchell just because you never know how that Niners backfield is going to play out in general. He did show that he's a very capable back, and I do think that they're going to be inclined to make Mitchell their starter going forward. So I'm not completely scared off Mitchell by any means, but there still are a few factors at play that you would have to consider in making that draft pick. Hey, what's wrong? Hey, buddy. Yeah, too early for any of these tight ends. Big run on receiver there. I hate to see that. Yeah, I probably would have been taking Jerry Jeudy if he was there. Would have taken Pittman, Waddle, Metcalf. How Waddle's there at the 5-4 is beyond me, but it's pretty good value. But if I remember right, yeah, there's a few like top tier rookie receivers sitting here. I'll go Garrett Wilson here because he is my wide receiver 1. Drake London, I'm very high on. We might be able to get him on the turn. But like I said, my Ohio State bias is very real. So Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, would love to get my hands on both of them. I might try to wait and see if I can get Olave on, if it'll come back to me in like 20 some picks at the 7th slot. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get Garrett Wilson. Hope we can get Drake London. And then maybe get Chris Olave even. And then probably try to pick up a few depth RBs after that. But yeah, I would not be shocked at all if any of the top, say, 5 wide receivers in this class, being Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, I guess. He's risky to me. Very risky to me. I guess I'm up right here. Okay. So we'll go Drake London. Hopefully Olave makes it back to me at 7 because that would be sick. But anyways, I think Wilson, Olave, London, Burks, and Jameson in some order would be the top 5 wide receivers. And I would not be shocked if any of those guys break out and are valued similarly to maybe not quite Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, but very much in that conversation. Could easily work their way into the top 5 wide receiver valuation in Dynasty. Whether that means they're producing like it or not is a whole different story, but just from straight value, yeah, I'm pretty high on these top receivers in this class. So one of my rookie drafts, I managed to get Garrett Wilson at the 107, and that was insane value because I would have taken him probably 102 over like Kenneth Walker even. My other one, I got Olave at the 106, so it was between him or Jameson at the spot. That was a very difficult pick to make, but I ended up going Olave. Yeah, if our receiver core going in could be Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Chris Olave, that would be just a beautiful 4-stack. That would make Olave be my first man off the bench, hypothetically, assuming I start 3 running backs and 3 receivers every week. So Olave would be my bye week or injury fill-in. See if there's any backs that we're overlooking. Like James Cook, like Isaiah Spiller, would go Pierce. Will not be drafting Rashad White ever. Fournette, that's Fournette's backfield to me. Could he prove me wrong? Sure, but my gut's telling me it's Fournette's backfield still. I like Gainwell a lot, but his situation is not ideal. Algier I would take for the situation alone. Not expecting much like long-term out of Algier, but short-term he should be a guy that will get some run in some lineups. B-Rob, yeah, probably be reaching on B-Rob here at some point. Same with TDP. Yeah, I'll just load up on a bunch of these rookie backs, knowing that I have 3 pretty solid ones in place already with Brees, Dobbins, and ETN. Elijah Moore, I don't completely hate him. The Garrett Wilson pick definitely hurts, but we'll go Olave here. Plenty of QBs to go around in 1 QB. So unless you're really getting a top tier guy that's going to score significantly ahead of a Kirk Cousins type or Trevor Lawrence or somebody scoring between 15 and 20 a game, unless you're getting somebody who can go out there and drop 30 every week like a Lamar Jackson or Kyler, I don't really want him. Could go Freiermuth just because I view that more as a tier break. I still think it's too high for tight end, but the argument could be made that it's the last guy in a tier. And I think that running back and receiver have a bunch of guys in the tier of the best player available still there. Bateman's seen quite the stock up recently with Marquise leaving town. Could go Jameson. Yeah, after seeing some of these guys who are still here, I'd still rather have like a Jameson Williams over Freiermuth. So I'm not really going to address tight end yet. Just knowing where I'm at value wise on a lot of these guys. I think we're going to take Jameson Williams, even though I probably should take James Cook here. It's a push. It's just difficult because I know I only have 3 backs right now, and if I skip out on James Cook and he hits, that could really devastate my team. And even if I took Jameson and he hit, it wouldn't really necessarily help my team, assuming these other guys hit as well. So that said, we're gonna go James Cook. I like Jameson more probably, but just for this roster build, we'll go ahead and take James Cook and not feel good about it whatsoever. Okay, so this New England backfield, I've heard a lot of people say that out of the New England backfield, the only guy you'll draft is Ramondre, which I just don't understand. He's second on their depth chart. I know he's coming off a pretty solid rookie year, I guess. But they went out and brought in Pierce Strong, who, if you go watch Pierce Strong tape or highlights or whatever you need to do, that dude's good. He's a lot better than Ramondre. He might not be as big, but they have Damian Harris for the same role, short yardage. Could Ramondre be that vulture that gets 10 touchdowns? I guess. But I just don't see them using him between the 20s hardly at all. I think between the 20s, it's going to be Damian Harris first and 10. They're going to run Harris. Maybe they get a 2nd and 2, and they're going for a big play. And you might see Pierce Strong come in. I like Kevin Harris a lot. To me, he'll be more of that backup to Damian Harris because they're very similar players in my eye. Same skill set. But Pierce Strong and Kevin Harris, I think, hurt Ramondre a lot. So I'm not really trying to draft any of the New England backs. But if I were drafting them, it would be more so the rookies at value late. Okay, so there goes Freiermuth off the board. So that's not great. Definitely not great, but looking at these other running backs getting drafted, like James Robinson, Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, Michael Carter, is an obvious tier gap going James Cook where I did, in my opinion. So I guess James Cook was a good pick after all, but should probably be taking receiver here. Yep, Jameson fell to me. All right, we'll go we'll scoop and score that. Probably be in full fade, quarterback and tight end, with Freiermuth being off the board. Be okay going either Hunter Henry, Logan Thomas. I wouldn't love it, but Gerald Everett, I guess. Trey McBride would be a good backup because I am high on his talents. It's just hard with Zach Ertz being in town still. Yeah, tight ends are pretty yucky, but usually that's a position I've had decent success just finding a guy midseason off waivers. Like last year, I was able to get Dalton Schultz off waivers, and he was scoring like a top 10 tight end at times. So definitely be okay with that. Oh no, Isaiah Spiller's gone. Dang. Yeah, I 100% would have taken Isaiah Spiller with this pick, but I guess we're gonna have to go with a Dameon Pierce. Just fine. It's not that much of a tear down, if any, but go Chargers, baby. Gotta load up on my Isaiah Spiller everywhere I can. I like Chuba a lot as a backup. B-Rob. Do I go B-Rob? I do think B-Rob's the better player compared to Pierce. It's just hard with, obviously, Antonio Gibson being the dominant force that he is at times. Ronald Rojo and KC is interesting. He's a guy that the only way I'm getting a guy like that on my team is if he's like a fill-in in a trade. Like I'm getting Ronald Jones and 2 first-round picks for some receiver or some move like that where I'm tearing down. I'm like, I guess I'll take Ronald Jones because I don't really want anyone else, but don't really need to draft him. Yeah, we'll go Dameon Pierce here and hope that Brian Robinson makes it back to us. But yeah, I'm going to just drive this point home. Really, all you need to be doing when you're in a dynasty draft is looking at age. If there's 2 guys that you're deciding between, if you're deciding between Derrick Henry and whoever else you're deciding between, go with the younger guy. If you're trying to take Derrick Henry over DeAndre Swift, you're going to regret that decision in 1 year's time, I promise. You're going to want the younger asset. You're going to want to draft all the 23-year-old below running backs you can. You're going to want to get the Jamar Chase, the rookie receivers. You're not going to want to draft all the – let's find a good one. Like, you're not going to want to draft Adam Thielen, Robert Woods. No. These guys are going to be out of the league, not scoring any points within 2 years. So imagine if you get Jameson Williams and then 2 years from now he's like 23 years old, popping off for 1,000 yards, and you took Adam Thielen over him. That's going to be the worst mistake you've ever made. So please, please, please look at age over everything. Talent level matters, but age matters more in the dynasty landscape, I promise. Not going to be able to trade your 30-year-old receiver for anything. See if B-Rob's here. It's a little bit reachy. But I do not care. At the 11th round on, I'm just going for the guys that I want on my team. And Brian Robinson, I very much want on my team. So that's, 6 running backs? Yeah, so that'll be my RB6. What's wrong, buddy? Come here. I know generally you're only allowed to roster like 10 running backs. So at this point, when I already have 6, I like to not keep drafting running backs, if that makes sense. That way, if there's a Elijah Mitchell or something on waivers, then I'm capable of picking them up without cutting somebody I drafted relatively high. So at this stage, we'll be looking to fill out our starting lineup and receiver depth. So sometime with the next few picks, probably get a quarterback, get a tight end. But let's see if there's any other receivers here that are must-haves. Jahan Dotson's low-key a must-have. Alec Pierce, I wouldn't call him a must-have, but still a good prospect. Same with Mechie. Will Fuller is interesting later because he's not on a team, but still talented. Brian Edwards, I actually just got him for free. Somebody cut him during our rookie draft, and I picked him up. Could be interesting. Justin Ross, oh man, reminds me of my buddy. He's a big Clemson homer, and when Justin Ross at the 201, it was like the worst pick I've ever seen in a rookie draft. But not surprised at all, knowing him and his Clemson passion. Yeah, I think we're going to go Jahan Dawson. It seems like a really good pick here. I do like Jahan Dawson as a player, by the way. I know the Washington landing spot's questionable, but I mean, he should see pretty much day one opportunity to get on the field, which is really all I ask out of my players, is that they have some way to get on the field, because I don't want the third string tight end who's never going to get snaps. No. Give me the first round receiver who's going to probably be their wide receiver too by the end of training camp. Njoku's interesting. Hurst is interesting. Hurst went to Cincinnati, which people don't seem to be talking about a whole lot. Hurst is a pretty good receiving tight end too, if you ask me. So Burrow to Hurst, he could be hearing a lot of that this year. Hooper's another underrated tight end, being in Tennessee. A lot of people are fading him for whatever reason, but I'm pretty sure he led the league in receiving a couple years ago when he was in Atlanta. So, or in receptions, not receiving. But I don't know. There's all these tight ends are pretty bad. Don't really want any of them. Lawrence could be a fun pick here. Mac Jones. Yeah, there's plenty of QBs that I would be okay with still on the board, but I know that the name Trevor Lawrence carries some weight. So I think we're going to go ahead and take T-Law. And I do still think he's going to have a pretty decent NFL career. So lock up T-Law and pick like that. Usually after the draft, that's the guy that I would be looking to move off of, to see if anybody else values him as like a must-have QB prospect. So if I could move T-Law into like either use him as a trade up for a better quarterback, or just keep him, start him, even try to get like a second round pick for him, because a lot of the guys in this range are not even worth second round picks, or are quite literally second round picks, like Algier. So if I could move T-Law for a second round pick and pick up a Matt Ryan or whoever ends up off waivers when some team makes a boneheaded drop, or Davis Mills is out there like he was last year. Usually there's quarterbacks to be found on waivers. So if I could move T-Law for like a second, usually that's a move I would consider, and then just start whoever's on waivers. If TDP's still there, I might take him. I do like Chark. Probably go Chark actually instead of TDP. Evan Ingram in Jacksonville is interesting too. Do I care about stacking like Lawrence to Ingram? Not really. I understand the appeal somewhat because you get the like real splash weeks. Like if Evan Ingram catches 2 touchdowns and Lawrence throws for 4 touchdowns, you probably won that week. But what happens when T-Law gets completely clamped and held to 90 yards and a pick? Then what good does Evan Ingram do for me that week? Because he probably caught 1 ball for 8 yards and you probably lost. So stacking is fine in theory if you really just want like big weeks, but it'll also cause you to lose weeks when they have a down week. So unless you're rocking like Rodgers and Adams, I don't really care about stacking a whole lot. But DJ Chark, Odell. I still think I like Chark ahead of some of these rookies like Alec Pierce. It's close. One could argue just go with the younger guy like Mechie. Chark's not old. I want to say he's like right around 25, and he's had a 1,000-yard season before. I don't know. I would take Chark here, but seeing these other guys in a similar range makes me want to just take a few of those guys later. At this point, I'm pretty much just throwing ADP out the window and getting the guys on my team that I want on my team. So I'm kind of going back and forth between Chark and Davis Price with this pick. He's really the last running back that I even like somewhat want. I mean, Pacheco I would roster, but just because I would roster a guy doesn't mean I want them. Same with Pierre Strong, I would roster them, but I'm not paying for them. Yeah. A lot of these other guys are like cut candidates. I guess we'll take a swing on TDP, make that our RB7. That'll leave 3 just RB flyer slots. That's not bad. So we got Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Olave, Jameson. That's pretty nasty. Jahan Dotson. That's upside right there. We got Brees, JK, ETN. A lot of upside with those 3. And then behind them, got James Cook, Damian Pierce, Brian Robinson. Probably get decent points out of these guys, but I don't know. James Cook could see like quite the value gain if he gets the volume, which a lot of people are not projecting him to get right now. Personally, I think they drafted James Cook to give James Cook the ball. So if he gets 200-300 touches this year, it could be stock up for him. Okay, so Chark did go off the board. So did David Bell. A lot of people are high on David Bell. I could see him becoming an Amon-Ra. He's one of those guys where he's so blah as a prospect. Like, sure, he does everything well, but that 40 time hurts his value. Like, I'm telling you, a lot of people want Jalen Waddle because he runs 4.2s, and they won't touch Amon-Ra because he runs 4.6s. Doesn't matter how many points you score. That's just the way that certain people think. So everybody telling you to take David Bell at the 111, please don't do that, because nobody in your league is going to want that guy in a year from now, even if he hits. I mean, I shouldn't say they're not going to want him, but his ceiling is capped because of his athletic profile. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. Leaning Alec Pierce. Is Mechie still there? Mechie is still there. I wouldn't hate to pick up both. We'll go with Alec Pierce. They're pretty much the same to me. I would take Pierce one time. I would take Mechie another time. But just seeing Pierce is ranked higher, we'll go with him and assume that Mechie gets back to me on the turn here. Okay, Peoples Jones and Gaskins go. We'll go with Mechie. Yeah, now's about the time to just start swinging on tight ends. I'll probably take 2. That's usually all I like to roster at any given time. That way I can roster more running backs and more receivers. Usually go 2 QBs, 2 tight, sometimes 3 tight. Just depends on how things play out in the trade market and waiver wire. Don't be shocked if OJ Howard resurges in Buffalo. Could see him actually popping off. Now, it's kind of a low probability that happens, but OJ he's kind of a freak. He's a pretty good blocker. Could see himself getting on the field even over Dawson Knox potentially. I know a lot of people think Dawson Knox is a stud, but I think OJ is just as good, if not better. Oh boy, here goes the kicker run again. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and take Trey McBride. Yeah, we're going to take Trey McBride and then probably go with Logan Wilson as more my... I could go Evan Ingram, I guess. I just need a guy who's going to score points at my starting tight end slot. Because I know tight ends are devalued. Just give me the guy who's going to score points. My gut's telling me that guy should be Logan Thomas. So we'll probably take him. But Ingram does have some level of upside. Maybe him and T-Law can get it going. Yeah. Give me Logan Thomas here. Start him for a while till Trey McBride finds his role. Yeah, usually at the kicker and defense position, I'll usually try to target the guys who have scored a lot recently. For whatever reason, that seems to hold true. Like if McManus is coming off a 25-point game and then a 15-point game, Azari is going to finish the rest of the year somewhat strong. Kickers seem to just go on like hot stretches out of nowhere, so... Yeah, generally I stream kicker, but if I were to draft one, Usually I'll go for like Harrison Butker, like the Chiefs kicker, maybe the Packers kicker, just somebody with a good quarterback that I know is going to get their team in scoring position more times than not. Those are usually the kickers I want. Defense, I really do look at matchups quite a bit. If I remember right, the Broncos have a pretty easy early schedule. I had the Cowboys last year, but their schedule is there's a lot of gaps where you wouldn't feel great about starting them because they play some pretty tough offenses early. The Broncos be a good pick just for knowing that they have a good early matchup. Pretty sure I would also consider the Chargers. I do have the Chargers on two of my dynasty teams right now. Pretty sure they play the Raiders week 1, which I mean that's a pretty middling matchup if you ask me. But they brought in Khalil Mack, they brought in J.C. Jackson. Should be a much improved group as a whole. And if I remember right, like weeks 1 through 8, like 6 of their games are just give me starts. So either the Broncos or Chargers are two target defenses for me. I'm sure there's more out there, but those ones are usually easy to get late. Okay, Will Fuller. Yeah, this is good range to take Will Fuller, actually. We'll go ahead and get him. And if week 1 rolls around, he's still not on a team, oh darn, I had to cut a 19th round pick. See what QB is looking like. See if there's a backup that. Yeah, I would take Zach Wilson, not with the intent on keeping him, but somebody who's going to look at his weapons and be like, yeah, he's throwing at Elijah Moore, who popped off. He's throwing to Garrett Wilson, who was a high pick. He's got Brees Hall in the backfield. Like, how could he fail? And probably trade him before week 1. But we'll go ahead and do that. Same deal as Trevor Lawrence, just see if I can get value out of either of them and then maybe end up starting a cheap vet who will probably score more points than them. This could be a situation where I take Malik Willis too. Rostering 3 QBs isn't great, but Malik very easily could be that Lamar Jackson ceiling rusher. So having that guy on my bench would be a nice luxury. And then I would just trade Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence, whoever somebody valued reasonably. Just get off of them, keep Malik as my 2, and then stream my actual 2, turning Malik kind of into my 3 again. It's probably the route I would go at QB. Yeah, if Malik's here, I'll probably take him 21st round. Might try to get my hands on Pierce Strong. Of course, we're going to need a kicker in defense, and there's only 5 picks left. So, ooh, Sammy Watkins. I just picked him up in a league. Him going to Rodgers could be fun. Whether or not he's a top 3 receiver on the depth chart is another story. Probably not right now, but at some point you got to throw a dart. And I like Sammy Watkins as a player. He's pretty fun to watch, and that's really all that matters. It's having fun, getting guys that you enjoy watching. So, all right. I think it's Malik Willis time. Definitely want Pierce Strong if I can. So I have, what, 8 receivers? Yeah, I've already got 8 receivers, so same deal there. The last 2 guys are just going to be interchangeable, whoever I think is the best available. Actually, I didn't even see Calvin Ridley down here. Could go Calvin Ridley, AB, just as more of upside swings. But to get a guy like Ridley or AB, that could potentially be a wasted roster spot, which isn't great. Usually I like getting guys off my team. If they're going to waste a roster spot and not be available to put on IR, that's usually not ideal. Now, usually the suspended tag will let you be on IR. I'm pretty sure Flea Flicker, the format that I used to play in, he would be able to go on IR. So I think we'll go ahead and take Calvin Ridley here, just knowing that. But hypothetically, if he was going to burn a hole in my bench, maybe I would think twice about it, even though he could probably be a wide receiver 1 next year if he comes back. Okay, so my last position player pick, probably try to use that on Pierce Strong and then go defense and kicker with my last 2. But overall, happy with this draft. I mean, I wish more studs would have fallen to me late, because pretty much after the Jahan Dawson pick, I didn't really love anybody left after that. It was more just get my guy after that point. But up until the Dotson pick, I was pretty happy with how this draft was going. And that's really what matters, hitting your first 10 picks or so. That's really what you need to be focused on. So Jamar, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, Jahan Dotson. That's pretty nasty starting 6. Maybe one of these guys break out and I can flip somebody ahead of them, or however I want to play that. But pretty good receiver room. Really good running back room too. Really young running back room, which is just as important. Don't have to worry about them retiring off my team. I can just add to them. Okay, so it looks like Pierce Strong did go. So I guess we'll have to pivot. Would like to get maybe one more running back, but I don't think anybody here is worth taking personally. Yeah, none of these guys are even hardly worth rostering. I mean, maybe Beatty just because I have JK. But see if there's a tight end I would take over like Beatty. Not really. So maybe we could even go like 2 defenses or something, which usually I'm completely against, but we'll take the Chargers D here. So I feel good about their early season and their roster. Their roster is disgusting on defense. Could be pretty fun to watch. Watch out for that JT Woods guy as well. I know I don't know how much you guys scout defensive rookies, but that JT Woods, he's a little bit of a freak athlete back there at safety. I'm pretty sure on their depth chart, he's behind a few of their starters, but I mean, for a third safety, JT Woods could be nice out there next to Derwin. Okay, there goes Beatty, of course. Let's go kicker, and then I guess save my last positional player for around 25. McManus is interesting being in Mile High with Russell Wilson. So I've had my eye on him at kicker. Mason Crosby. Yeah, I don't even know what other kickers we're taking, but I feel good enough about Prater or McManus. We'll go with McManus, I guess, but who cares? This kicker. Wow, imagine taking kicker ahead of some of these guys. So it looks like McPherson was the first kicker, even ahead of Justin Tucker. That's very interesting. I know he balled out and has arguably a top 5 offense that he's attached to. It's just interesting seeing him go ahead of Tucker like that. Yeah, now I'm even struggling to find somebody that I want on my roster at all at this stage. I might just take a meme pick. And Snoop Connor would be in play. Ooh, Jerome Ford. Zach Moss. I'm leaning Jerome Ford. Kevin Harris. We've already got 9 receivers, so I think we have room for one more if I really liked somebody, but I doubt there's going to be anybody that I even want anywhere near my roster. Yeah. Hard pass on that. One last look at tight ends. Harrison Bryant. Yeah, no thanks. Let's see if we can track down Jerome Ford again. That's actually not a half bad pick. Yeah, I did like Jerome Ford's tape. His tape at Cincy was really good. He was at Bama. I like that about him. Really, the thing holding him back is obviously being behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Not ideal, but never know. It seems like the third string running back for Cleveland every year just ends up having a run where they're absolutely destroying people. So hopefully that can be Jerome Ford. Maybe trade him to a team that needs a plug and play running back 1 week or something like that. Heck, maybe even just start him. Maybe it comes on a week where ETN has a torn ACL and J.K. Dobbins has a torn ACL, and I need to start Jerome Ford because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are both out for some reason. But yeah, to recap quickly, my team, we got Jamar Chase, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, Garrett Wilson, Drake London as starters. Off the bench, we got Olave, James Cook, Jameson Williams, Damian Pierce. That's pretty good. Good top 4 off the bench, if you ask me. Brian Robinson, Jahan Dawson. Starting QBs, T-Law. Also got TDP, Alec Pierce, John Mechie. Trey McBride, he's more of a project stash. Same with Malik Willis, they're project stashes. But I do like their upside. Logan Thomas should be a fine week 1 starter. Will Fuller, project stash. Zach Wilson. More just took the value on him there. Calvin Ridley, Project Stash. Yeah, pretty much after like round 15, that's where I just go raw upside projects. And if it doesn't work out, I have to cut them. I'm not feeling overly terrible about it. The newly revamped Chargers defense, Brandon McManus, tied to Russell Wilson's offense in Mile High, and Jerome Ford, Cleveland's third string running back. So, yeah, pretty good draft, honestly. Definitely be doing more stuff like this at some point. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.